and that you basically serve as the chair of a subcommittee on, I think it is, worker and family support subcommittee. And that is so important. You know, we talk a lot about workers and we fight. We want to increase the minimum wage. You're in the forefront of that issue. We talk so much about families, but the way that you contributed to what we did to respond to the pandemic, you know, given that we had to do whatever could be done to realize that the families and the children and the workers needed our support. Your input and your advocacy on those issues is well known throughout not only, I'm sure, your district, but the state, but the members of Congress highly respect you and the work that you do. And so we are all amazed at the way that you take care of your district. Oftentimes, we have members who come to Washington, D.C., and they feel that, oh, if they do a few minutes on the floor, if they vote on a piece of legislation, they've done their job. But you have established all these advisory committees in your district, getting input from those who are concerned about having the best quality of life that possibly they could have. And you have done what most members have not learned how to do, and that is to get that input and to give the time to those task forces so that they have access to you. But you go beyond that. You take that beautiful voice to radio and TV shows that cover your district, and you allow the audience to call in. And, you know, sometimes when we're doing these kinds of shows, we're a little bit hesitant because we don't know what the next caller is going to say or the next caller is going to ask. But you are an expert, and you're absolutely not only giving information, sharing information, getting input, you act on it. There's no one better on preserving our democracy than you are. And you speak up. And there's no one better than protecting and fighting to make sure that we have the Social Security program that we have. And I can remember how you have always fought for the increase in Social Security and making sure that we had the cost of living increase that so many of our seniors deserve. And I think it is because of the work of you and others that our seniors enjoyed over a 5% increase in the cost of living, which was so welcomed by them. But that's your work. That's whom you are. This is what your life is dedicated to. And so, again, when I talk about joining with the Women for Davis, I'm very sincere about it. I knew about you before you came to Congress. You came, I believe, in 1996. But you had served as a commissioner prior to coming. And so you brought with you a reputation of service and involvement and community. And that's a lesson that I think we all can learn from you, that when you're in your district, when you go to the district, engage your constituents, and nobody does it any better than you. I'm so proud of you. I am delighted to serve with you. I hope the people of your district understand that you must be reelected. This is not whether or not people need to think, well, maybe he's going to retire, or maybe somebody's coming in and he may be overrun. No, you have to be reelected to serve the people of your district. I believe that is the 7th district, and to do the work that you're doing involving your constituents in the way that you do. It is because of that involvement of your advisory committees that makes you so effective serving on Ways and Means, looking out for labor and looking out for children and families. And so thank you for allowing me just to have a word of appreciation to say about you and your work and why you are so highly respected and loved in the House of Representatives. I am delighted to give these few minutes to the program today, and I look forward to seeing you when we're back on Monday or Tuesday, whichever day you come back, so that I can enjoy the voice that we love so much, the voice of Danny Davis, helping to share information and give the word. Thank you so very much, Danny.
Well, thank you. Thank you so very much. And you know, I just remember this last package that we were doing, and housing was being left out. and in stepped Representative Waters and says to President Biden, how can you have any kind of package? And all of these people.
Is she in the wait? Are they in the waiting room? Do they admit them?
So could you share with the story behind
I don't see Maxine in the waiting room.
housing put into the omnibus bill?
Absolutely. And I thank you for your support for that legislation. Someone is unmuted, and so they're kind of talking over us. So if everybody could mute, because something important is going on with Danny Davis with us, talking about the work that we do in Congress. He was a part of helping me to get $150 billion for housing. We got together and we talked about the crisis that's in America. And we pointed out that it is shameful that we have the homelessness all over this country, and that we needed to focus on housing in several ways. And so we did several things. We provided billions of dollars for public housing. Much of our public housing is in disrepair. The elevators don't work in some buildings. The heat was not on in past winters, and the children were not safe oftentimes because so much work needed to be done. So we targeted over $60 billion for the renovation and the repair of public housing. And then we got another $25 billion for Section 8. So many people have been standing in line for so many years trying to get this subsidy that is provided by the Section 8 program. And so we wanted more, but we were able to get $25 billion of that. We also had worked some time ago with Barney Frank to get a National Housing Trust Fund. And so we put about $20 billion into the National Housing Trust Fund in order to build more affordable units for people to be able to live in and have a decent quality of life. We sent money to the cities to make sure that they had CDBG money, that they had home money, which they have some flexibility with to put toward housing efforts. So when you take a look at public housing, you take a look at affordable housing, you take a look at Section 8, you take a look at disability, subsidies for people with disability, it's in that $150 billion. And we have to make sure that we continue to fight. Danny and I are working very hard on the Build Back Better bill. This is a huge bill that continues our work dealing with what has happened with this pandemic, making sure that we have childcare, we have parental leave, that we have the equipment that we need, the PPE, so that our nurses and our healthcare people on the front line have what they need to respond to the needs of people who are absolutely seeking to be taken care of. We're not finished with COVID yet. We have done a great job, and we have to give credit to the President of the United States. When he came into office, he set out right away to make sure that we had that PPE and that we had money for our small businesses and PPP programs. So between those programs, we were able not only to give a subsidy to those who were getting unemployment. You know, unemployment oftentimes is not much, depending on how much you have based on the work that you've been able to do over the years. So we subsidize that. And between subsidizing the unemployment, PPP for our small businesses, many of them were able to stay open and to keep their employees because Danny and I, the Congressional Black Caucus, the people all who work with the Progressive Caucus. We worked on these issues, and we're there to make sure that we're at the table when we're fighting, not only for the least of these, but for the deserving people of this country who look to their government to be there for them when they most need it. So, Danny, again, I love you. I thank you. I am your friend, and I am too a big supporter. And I'm prepared to do whatever I can do to make sure that you're reelected. Thank you so very much.
Well, thank you. You know, like James Brown used to say, Maxine, don't take no mess. But I see Phyllis Logan's hand and I see Gator Bradley's hand.
Hey,
Thank you,
Congressman.
Congressman Davis.
Phyllis first.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Congressman Davis. And I want Congressman Maxine Waters to know that I've attended the Black Caucus for the last 13 years, and I've always attended your forums, and they have been very productive, informative, and we just thank you for what you give back to our communities that we can bring back home to be able to pass that on. So, but my question, since you're on the Financial Services Committee, is in reference to, and I say this because Black people have lived in a poor state for so long, but it's all due to the substance that we receive within our communities, the equal justice of having us participate in the economic development of our communities. I don't know why it is, and I've been a part of, in the room with many other nonprofit organizations who've been able to benefit starting day one with maybe 2 or 3 members, part of their executive committee, that are receiving the awards, and they've been able to grow over the years. And these are not people that look like us who've been able to garner all of this attention to be funded, first in line to be funded to bring economic development to our communities. I'm still irate over this, and I'm of older age now, watching all of this, and it's just not right. So under the civil rights requirements, the Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, I don't understand why all of this federal funding comes within to our cities, our townships, where poor people live, who are still poor today, who were poor 30 years ago. Why are we not benefiting from the federal funds that come under Section 3 to our communities, and we don't have the opportunity to participate, let alone experience the hierarchy in our salaries, our wages, the benefits that come financially for us to aspire to do the same things that every other culture is doing. It is wrong. And I followed you and I see all of your meetings. I get all of your statements, Congressman Waters. I appreciate you 100%. I know you're highly intelligent in the area, but I just need further explanation as to why our communities, the individuals, the consumers in our communities are not benefiting the way that the industry is benefiting from the funding that comes from our tax dollars. If you can explain that, I thank you very much. And thank you, Congressman. I love Congressman Davis as well. My family knows Congressman Davis. We admire him. We vote for him. I've been voting for him since he was my original alderman of the 29th Ward. He has my support. He has our back. We believe in him, but we need to know what's going wrong in the federal that gets trickled down to the state, and why these dollars are not in our community benefiting the individuals who live there better than what we've been doing. I'm tired of Black people being poor. So we should not still be poor Black people in this day and age. Thank you. I apologize for the long-windedness. Thank you, Congressman.
Well, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. And I understand the question, and it has several different kind of definitions about what goes on in funding. And it happens in so many different ways. Let me draw your attention, first of all, to the recent pandemic where we have passed the CARES Act and the American Rescue Plan and included in that PPP and PPE. I want to tell you, if we had not been there, if Danny Davis had not been there, if I had not been there, if the Black Caucus had not been there, if the Progressive Caucus had not been there, then it would have been business as usual. First of all, there never would have been that kind of generous response to the pandemic. We were all very a very big part of making sure that there was a response. When you saw that increase in unemployment benefits, that's because we know that so many of our people had made very small wages for so many years that their unemployment benefits were not substantial. That's why we added on top of it, an additional subsidy to make sure that they could put food on the table and buy gasoline for the cars and take care of their families. Now, I just point that out because in the work that we have done, we have certainly made sure that the response to the pandemic has benefited our communities more than in the past with those programs that they've had to compete for or they've been cut out of. I want you to know that, unfortunately, this is an extraordinarily competitive process. And we have been fighting in every way that we can to get the resources and the money to our communities. For example, you remember the earmarks? They took away the earmarks, and I don't think we've had earmarks since maybe 2009. But we fought and we worked with the president to get back earmarks. They're now called community projects. And Danny Davis can talk a little bit more in detail about that and how that helped our communities. In addition to that, there's a problem. And the problem now is growing. And the problem is this: while we're fighting, and we do some good things, that child tax credit is monumental. That child tax credit will put money in the hands of family for each of the children. For the children from birth to a few years, that's about $300. And for every other child above that, whatever that cutoff is $250. So if you have 4 children, if you have 5 children, each one of those children, and I want to tell you, it has benefited our families in such a humongous way. People have been able, with the child tax credit, to be able to pay the rent, buy new clothing for their children, make sure that they have the transportation. So we have some good things. Now, the other things you mentioned was nonprofits. Let me tell you about what we're doing to build wealth. We have what is known the CDFI program. Now, if you will go back to what happened during the pandemic, when we first rolled out with the PPP program, this is for small businesses, the big banks took and created their own portals, and they directed that money toward their concierge clients. Because I was there, because Nydia Velasquez was there, because Danny Davis was there, we were able to say enough is enough, and we got together. And we were able to put together $60 billion more, and we shot it out to the Black banks. We shot it out to the credit unions and to the community banks and what is known as CDFI, Community Development Organizations. And so we have more money in the community now with your CDFIs. We put together $12 billion. 1.25 billion has already gone out. I want you to remember this word, CDFI, Community Development Financial Institutions. They are in your area. And for those people with businesses who need loans, the CDFIs have money that we have put into them. And so now what we've got to do is we've got to make sure that the information is disseminated so that people know where the programs are and what they need to do. I'm worried because much of what needs to be done is responding to requests for proposal on the internet. And not everybody has access to the internet. Whether or not they have a computer, whether or not they're familiar with dealing with the computer and with government and responding. Our processes now have to be looked at. And I'm thinking about what can we do in addition to what's going to be on the internet that helps to, educate people about what's available. I really do believe that we need some government assistance centers that we can locate where people can walk in the door and say, what is the stimulus program? What is the American Rescue Program? How do I get a Section 8, what have you? We need to find ways to get more information out. Some people may not have televisions and computers, what have you. But we are increasing ways by which people can get resources, but the processes, I think, need to be improved so that we connect with the people and people understand what is there. And I want you to know there's a big difference now between your nonprofits and your for-profits and the small businesses that we're paying a lot of attention to. Many of our nonprofits have been around for a long time, and they compete in ways that helps them to get, resources to do the work that they're doing. But we're on it, and we have increased the ability for our communities to have better access, and we want everybody to do everything that you can to learn more about it. That's a long answer, but I wanted to share that with you.
But we thank you so much because it was so thorough.
I apologize. I just wanted to say kudos to all of that. It's Phyllis Logan. I apologize, Congressman Davis. I normally don't interrupt you at all. I never interrupt you. But just to follow up, the nonprofits that you're speaking of, as well as the CDFIs that you're speaking of, came from the same entities of the nonprofits from 20 plus years ago, who have now garnered, have taken over this whole process. So the low end hanging fruit is not benefiting at all. We know our communities, we know what's needed, but we have to jump through hoops and still get denied to be a part of this beneficial process for federal funds. I don't know. I apologize. Thank you, Congressman.
All right.
That's okay. You're so welcome. And I want you to focus on CDFIs. And I want you to know where they are. And I want you, if you're in business, to go and apply for a loan. Because like I said, we raised $12 billion recently, and we've already put $1.25 billion out. So I want you to do a little research and seek out your CDFIs.
And Gator Bradley is next, and then I think that Representative Waters is going to have to leave us. So Gator, go right ahead.
Oh my God, that's one of my children.
Is that Gator? Maxine. Yes,
is
ma'am.
That Gator?
Yes, ma'am. Max, and Congressman Davis, I'm glad that you put this forum on, because there's a move that we're utilizing, and I tease Jonathan Jackson a lot about it, and it is telephone, telegram, and telenegro. Sharing what you just shared with us, for us to let the community know, let's not dwell on what wasn't there. Let's work with what's there, with what you have. And one of the things I want to say, Max, because I know you got to go. I'm with you, 7/24/365. I come to Washington. You've been to Chicago to help talk to the people about the housing and everything else. I want to say I love you, and I pray that if it's God's will, that Jonathan Jackson become the next congressman from the 1st Congressional District, so he can aid and assist you and Congressman Danny Davis.
Well, I appreciate you. And like I said, you're one of my children. I started working with you years ago when you were trying to do something about the gangs and all of that. Ma'am. And you've never stopped being of service. And whatever you can do, I know that you will do. So thank you, Gator. Love you.
Thank you, man. You got to answer, if you will, one white person's question. Fred Cage has been trying to get in.
Okay, all right. Okay, let's hear.
Okay, well, hey, Congressman Davis and Chairman Waters, thank you for being here. Congressman Davis represents me. And In our delegation, he is the go-to leader for expertise and knowledge on making our property tax systems fairer across America. And so we need him there. And I support him with my head and my heart. Both of you have been so important on issues of property appraisal and valuation equity. I know the federal government has its interagency task force, but it's the members of Congress that have really put the pressure on to make that happen. And you've been looking at this problem, the appraisal gap of biases in our federal mortgage system and how it's hurt Black homeowners and communities, robbing them of wealth. I represent a group of the top 15 assessors in America, which includes Assessor Prang in LA. We're a bipartisan group of representing more than 50 million people in America. And there's a related problem, which is the tax assessment gap, which is that property tax assessments tend to overvalue Black homes, Black communities, and other Black and brown people at the bottom end of the spectrum. And we've been meeting with the White House. I lead this group we met with the White House and the Domestic Policy Council and the FHFA. We think if we can get access to the uniform appraisal database that the federal government oversees that has information on conditions and quality, we can reduce the inequity of property tax assessments across America. And the executive office of the president has the ability through the FHFA to release this data because of the conservatorship of Fannie and Freddie. And is there anything that you could do on the House Financial Services Committee to help draw attention to this problem and to the solution that, we had very powerful testimony from the assessor of Detroit and Philadelphia, but also Maricopa County and Mecklenburg County and Dallas and Miami. We'd love to shine a light on this problem. Is there anything you could do at House Financial Services to shine a light on this?
Well, first of all, I want you to know that next week, I believe it is, I have a big hearing on appraisals. We have unfolded a lot of information about appraisals. And of course, one of the big issues with appraisal is the undervaluing of people in minority communities and in Black communities, et cetera. We have a lot of information now. The president has a task force that he's put up on appraisal. And so now all that we've been talking about for quite some time, we've been able to unveil some information that certainly documents what has been going on with appraisals. Prang is a friend of mine. And so I know that most people don't know or think a lot about the assessor, but they think the assessor is a tax collector, and it's two different jobs altogether. And so I know that he's in the leadership of dealing with this issue. And so you have lots of my committee working with appraisals will also help to deal with what you're describing about the role that assessors play and what we can do about the assessments. So take a look next week. I don't know which day it is. I think it's one of the days next week. You can call Danny. I will make sure Danny has the information about this hearing because it's going to be very, very helpful.
I told you Maxine was one of the smartest people I know. So, we know you got to go. But thank you so much for being with us. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
I look forward to seeing you, Danny, and thank you so very much. I know that my other son, my place son, Jonathan, is in the audience. And so I'm glad he's there with you. I don't know what y'all are doing, but he is one of my children also. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Auntie Maxine. All right. Okay. Melvin Bailey, I know you had a question.
Is she going to allow another question?
It looks like it. Melvin, you got a question?
Okay, hold on. Hi, Melvin, where are you?
I think he may be gone, but I know
he may be gone. Mary Gardner had a question.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Congresswoman Maxine Waters. I'm honored to even be in the room visually with you.
Oh my goodness.
God, you are our hero. And of course, to my neighbor, Congressman Davis, just an honor and a blessing to be here. And I'm just super excited because we're culminating Women's History Month. And this is all about, I'm sorry, today it's all about Black women today. And I just want to give Congressman some kudos, Congresswoman Waters. Since 2016, the Congressman has supported, we're called Women of the 7th Congressional District, where we came out really mad in March and all of that good stuff. And we got nothing but good support from our Congressman. No pushback, no questions. He just kind of jumped in there along with some other local elected officials. And I was happy about that. So I always want to try to let folks know that he's 100% real. I put my question in the chat because I thought you were leaving the room, but I would like to set up a conversation with Black women throughout the district because misinformation travels fast. And what you said, I think folks need to hear just from you. It's not so much as you're justifying your colleague, but you speak, of course, from authority and from a platform that many of us have just seen. And so for Black women to hear you say the relevancy of how we can continue to move on behalf of Black people and how our vote matters at the polls makes a big difference. So I wanted to kind of extend an invitation to you via this forum to say if it's possible that a virtual conversation could happen with some women throughout the 7th Congressional District, we'd like to make that happen. To just, for you to just come in there and just tell us one-on-one what's going on, what the deal is with legislation, because there are some stories out there. Unfortunately, some women are part of those misnomers. And so that is I guess it's a question invitation. I'm not sure, but that is it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the invitation. And please stay in touch with Danny Davis to see what we can do to have such a forum. All
right. She's saying, can you come back again? All right.
Yes.
Bottom line. Thank you. Thank you so much. George Williams.
No, sir. I just want to say thank you to both two esteemed leaders not just in this country, but in the world. Congressman Maxine Waters, thank you so much for all your contributions that you've done, that you're doing, and that you will do. And to my esteemed leader, thank you, sir, for putting on this discussion in this forum today.
You're so very welcome. And I want to thank Danny Davis for his attention to women. And it's because of him that we have Kamala Harris, because we all stood together with Mr. Clyburn, working with the president to get that commitment. And now we have a woman of color who is the vice president of the United States of America. And we're about to have another woman who will be sitting on the Supreme Court who looks like us. Thank you.
Right on.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
All right, Melvin, you get back. Who we got there? Over in the corner, I don't see your name.
I'm in Tony. I think Melvin's back on.
All right, Melvin. Go right ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, thank you, Congressman. I'd like to say thank you to you for what we've been doing in the community. And Congresswoman Maxine, I would like to thank you as well, because you supported me when Congressman Davis had us to go talk to you. I'm going to take you back a ways when me, you, Barney Franks, and Christopher Dobbs, we talked about, I'm taking you back. We talked about the banks and how their foreclosure process. So I'd like to thank you for that, because that led us to the banks and made us one of the largest non-for-profits in the state of Illinois, just by that conversation that we had with you and Barney Franks and Christopher Dobbs. So Congresswoman, I'd love to thank you for that.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
But I would like to bring you up to speed now, Congressman. We passed City Council to build affordable housing. We the only African-American organization that's going to start building affordable housing in the city of Chicago. We we're pulling permits now. So we got a job training component program with it. We look like we're going to be breaking ground in the district right around the United Center, Congressman. And I would like to use this time to show young men and women with hard work, we can do it. We can take on the challenges and knock down the barriers, because I'm an ex-offender as well, but I've been pounding the pavement, and with the Congressman blessing and with your blessing, Congresswoman, I would like to say thank you. And I would love to, at least announce this on the floor, on your committee, Congresswoman, just so I can let the young men and women know that struggle with social profiling, that with hard work, we can do it. And we're looking to take this model across the country to start building affordable housing, to make sure we can keep people into the housing. And it's just a great opportunity, because we will be on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, to show the young people we can do this.
Thank you.
I love your enthusiasm and your optimism. That's the kind of language that we need to hear more of, and that's what the young people need so desperately. Thank you for your work.
And Melvin, we want to thank you for what you've done with Section 3 and the impact that you and your colleagues have had on helping make Section 3 work in public housing and in the city of Chicago.
Yes,
Section 3 is very important.
Congressman Davis.
Yes.
I'm sorry, we need to, Chairman Waters' chief of staff is on my back to make this that was the last question. So from my chief of staff to the other chief of staff, I have to honor that. And Representative Waters, if you would like to give closing remarks, that would be great.
Well, thank you so very much for your generosity. I do think that we've had a very productive conversation here today. My focus is on Danny Davis. My focus is on making sure that people know and appreciate what a wonderful, dedicated representative you have. Someone who has dedicated his career to ensuring that there is representation in Washington, D.C. for his district, for his community, and for the people who need it so very much. And so I just wanted to be here today because oftentimes people right in the district don't appreciate what they have. And so when somebody from the outside is able to tell them, you don't know what you got, and he's such a wonderful person, he's such a great leader, he's such a great representative, maybe, those who were not really focused and believing, they will set up and at least listen. And I certainly hope so, because I thoroughly believe in him, his capability, and his dedicated and his commitment to the least of these and people who desperately need the representation. So thank you very much. I shall take leave now, but we shall be together again. Thank you, Danny Davis.
Thank you. If they listen to anybody, they'll listen to Maxine Waters. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Goodbye now.
Been a pleasure. I think we've still got some questions. Who do we have next? Ricky Jones.
Hey, I just want to tell you that, first of all, I wanted to say to Mary Gardner, what a great job she's done as over the woman of Danny for years. She's been a great asset to you. And so I thank her so much for making it so easy for me to be the chair of your campaign because of all the work she's done. So I just want to let her know that I really appreciate her and love her and thank her for all of her hard work. And just want to let you know that Karen, I'm at an event for Karen Yarborough, and Karen was like, that's the only reason she's not there, because of course she honors her congressman. She loves you so much. And so I told her I would let you know that was the only reason she's not here, is because they're having an event for her here. And I'm at the event, but my heart is always gonna be with you, Congressman Davis. Love you so much. Can't wait to the next thing that we have. Is Carol Brown coming on?
I don't know, but thank you so much. Karen Yarborough and I are colleagues because she's the State Central Committee woman of the 7th District, and I'm the State Central Committee man of the 7th District. So we run in tandem. And I knew she was having an event today, but we'll get together when we both have one event at the same time. So thank you. I saw who did I see also? A Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams, are you there? Do we have another question or comment? If not, do we? Well, let me just say this. We are indeed coming up on the end of the celebration of Women's History Month. And you know, the reality is that if it wasn't for the women of the 7th District, I'm not sure there would be a 7th District. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure of it. But the reality is we are coming out of one of the most difficult periods in the history of our being. That is, with those of us who are alive and here to see it. I think we have weathered it fairly well. Our governor has done an outstanding job with the pandemic in the state of Illinois. State of Illinois has fared better than most states in the United States of America, and especially the large ones. But of course, we're not out of the water yet. We've done some wonderful things at the federal government level. We have some more things to do. We're in income tax time, and we're trying to make sure, especially that low and moderate income citizens know of the tremendous tax benefits that are in fact available for them. Maxine mentioned it and alluded to them, but the child tax credit, there are millions of people in our communities who don't make $75,000 a year, or families who don't earn $150,000 a year together. If you know anybody who fit those categories, there is either $300 for every month of last year available for them and their children if they're under 6 years old. If they are between 6 and under 17, there's $250 a month for them for every month during last year. And even people who are not required to file income taxes. For example, people who live on SSI, people who might be disabled but have children, or people who just did not earn that amount of money, but you must file in order to receive it. There are care credits if you take care of individuals and provide care for them. You take care of a sick person, or you have a person in your family, or you are a caregiver. This money is indeed available. Some of the best tax benefits that we've ever experienced for these categories of citizens. Please, if you qualify, make sure you get yours. If you know anyone who qualifies, please make sure If they don't know how to file their income taxes, there are free assistances all over the place. They're called Vita Centers. They are available and will help people for free. Outstanding. And so please don't let this money go by. Don't let it go to waste. It's there for us. We also know that we're going to have lots of work activity generated because the state of Illinois just got $17 billion from the federal government for infrastructure. We want to make sure that women-owned business, that minority businesses, that people get trained so they can work construction, so they can be a part of this. So make sure that we all join together and make sure that these federal benefits get in the hands of those for whom they were intended. For those, we've got billions of dollars that have come into the state of Illinois for health care from the federal government. $250 million for education, higher education. So let's make sure that we act these resources. So let me thank all of you for joining us for a very exciting afternoon with Representative Maxine Waters, Chairman of Financial Services. And I want to thank Tiama Romero for orchestrating this afternoon's discussion. I don't think we had only a few people talking over other people, and eventually everybody will be muted so that that will never happen. Ms. Winfrey, why don't I say that perhaps you're the last question?
Thank you, Congressman. God bless you. Thank you for pointing out the fact that all of that money has been allocated from the federal government to the states. The one thing that Workforce Innovation Network, a minority-owned, woman, female-owned apprenticeship training program that will be rolling out in 5 states nationally. We are on track to be certified by the Department of Labor as a workforce apprenticeship training program nationally in 5 states. The problem that we ran into in Illinois, which should be a concern to many, is that we don't have an EDA on the west side of Chicago. In order to apply for the Good Jobs Challenge funding, we ran into major barriers with alignment. We were sent in circles down the rabbit hole to the city, to the county, to CMAP, and no responses for months since last October, sir. So that money, after we looked at how many organizations in the community in Illinois actually got that money, to speak to Sister Phyllis Logan, she's absolutely correct. We are not in the loop when it comes to that. So prayerfully with the DOL ABA upcoming apprenticeship Building America infrastructure money specifically to train apprentices, we need to begin to have a collaborative spirit. My colleagues and I are applying for that grant. And if there are any organizations on this call, please reach out to me, jlw@wininnovators.com, jlw@wininnovators.com. We are also applying for the Cook County grant, and we are looking to collaborate for that upcoming grant. So hopefully we can work together, you all. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. And let me just announce, and Maxine did mention it, but again, we are going to be accepting applications for community projects. The deadline is going to be April the 12th. So if you are a not-for-profit or a government entity and you do certain any kind of work that you'd like to try and get a federal grant for, if you're located in the 7th Congressional District, write yourself a good proposal or get in touch with us. I think we're going to actually have a training on Wednesday at 5 o'clock, so you can call and get the information to be on that. But if you write yourself a good proposal, we are only going to have 15 projects that we can designate. And so obviously, the good proposals, it's going to be competitive because there will be far more than 15 agencies that will make application. And so if you write yourself a good proposal, then you have a great chance of being one of the 15 projects that we will designate. Look out for the information in terms of how to. It is coming, and good proposals will be the winners. So thank you all so much. I'm going to have my Sunday afternoon soup. And these doctors I've been meeting with on Monday nights, they just about got me where I don't eat much of anything. But I'm going to find something that meets their approval. Have a wonderful week, and we look forward to being with you again very soon. Again, Tiama Romero, thank you for putting it together. And I've had a great afternoon with you and Maxine Waters. So thank you.
Thank you, Congressman. Bye.
Thank you, Congressman.
Bye.
All
Have a good
right.
day.
Great conversation. Have a good evening.
All right.
Thanks, Congressman. I'm gonna have some of that soup if I can get your energy.
Well, it'll be kind of bland.
Have a good weekend.
All right.